I transformed my life and business in 2023 by doing the exact opposite of what everyone else does. So at the start of 2023, I was a chubby fat fuck. I was addicted to vaping every single day, all day, every single day. And I was drinking every single night. I was also beyond dead broke. Most people just set goals and then just assume that somehow they will achieve them. And the truth is that this is what I did for years until I rediscovered a secret to success that I had previously used in my first career as a dentist, but I'd completely forgotten about it. Now fast forward to now and I'm back to within acceptable limits of body fat. I've quit vaping and I now have complete control over my alcohol consumption. I'm also not dead broke anymore. To explain how I did it though, and the 4 steps that you can take to also transform your life too, I'm going to need to rewind 10 years ago to when I was a student at dental school. So let's rewind the clock a little bit. This is 10 years ago to it would have been 2012. 2013 was when I graduated dental school and became a full-time dentist. And it was in my university years where I discovered online communities of essentially basically the best dentists in the world were all posting cases online, just similar to kind of essentially like what social media is now. It's just a proof that you are capable. And I found these communities where seemingly there were all of these dentists across the world who were just trying to do the very best work that they could for their patients. And this was interesting to me at university because whilst I was at university at dental school, it became very clear to me there were 2 types of dentists out there. One were the ones that wanted to do the best for their patients, wanted to push themselves to their limits to see what they were capable of. And the second ones were the ones who decided to throw that all in the bin and just do whatever it took to make as much money as possible. And yeah, the truth is that dentistry is just like anything. The more you do, the more you earn. It's a volume game. And yeah, a lot of dentists chose that path. And it was very clear for me that was not going to be the path that I was going to choose. I was always more inclined to try and push myself to my limits, but most importantly, just driven by wanting to do the very best for my patients. So I found these online communities. I remember one was called Dental Town, and it was an escape from the university lecturing, because in lectures you just were learning about theory. You were learning about things that were theoretical, whether it's diseases, procedures, whatever. And on these online communities, you were seeing the actual practical evidence of people actually doing it. Turns out they were not doing the stuff that we were getting taught at university. They were way more advanced, which is, really just goes to show really about what the university education is compared to the modern day world now. Information is just completely freely available, and so the stuff that university is teaching are so easily and quickly outdated. And that was just very clear to me even back then in 2011, 2012, when I was at university. So I found these online communities, and I found it was very clear there was a hierarchy. There was a very clear hierarchy within this kind of dental realm of dentists who are the best of the best. There was underground ranking system. You just knew, you were okay, well shit, there's this dude in Brazil, there's this dude in France, there's loads of guys in Italy who were really pushing the boundaries, and I was hooked by that. It was these are the guys that I want to be like. I want to be pushing myself to my absolute limits. And turned out that one of them was actually really close by to me in England. And at university, I started trying to post cases as well on these online communities to try and essentially just get myself out there. This was before Instagram. This was 4 years before Instagram even was founded. So very different time. And I used this as a way to try and, I guess, like validate myself, but also try and just push myself. And then eventually, just from being in these online communities, I ended up getting in contact with all these people and becoming friends with the best dentists in the world. And what I recognized was that, okay, like these guys, I can learn from them. Like these guys are really, these people are like special. They've all got their like little areas of specialty. There's lots of different procedures in dentistry, and I specialized in making teeth look like teeth. And don't do this now, but you can go see my first ever YouTube video is the proof of me doing that. From I think the year that I quit dentistry, which is like 2015. And I realized that I could learn from these people. So when I graduated in 2013, I decided that I was like, okay, the way dentistry works in the UK is that when you graduate, you go and do 1 to 2 years of work within the public sector. It's called the NHS in the UK, and everyone does it. Like you just do that. And then what happens is you then work in the NHS for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. Typically, the aim is to eventually get a private gig, because that's where you can earn more money. And for most people, when they graduate out of dental school, it's going to take 5+ years of working for the public sector before they can actually get enough evidence and I guess just work experience time to be able to show that they are capable. When I was at dental school, I realized very quick, I was like, I ain't fucking working in the public sector. Like that is being handicapped to what you can do based on like how much the government is willing to pay for stuff. I was like, that ain't me. I want to go to a patient and say, this is the very best that I can give you. These are options below. Which one do you want? And that wasn't the case in the NHS. It wasn't the case in the public health sector. Like you were handicapped. You were handicapped by the level of care that you could provide, and you still are. And I recognized that, and I was like, I don't want that. And so what I did was, when I got into my first year as a dentist, working in the public health sector, doing what was called training year, I highlighted all of the best dentists that I was aware of in the UK, and I contacted all of them, and a few of them, most of them knew me by that point, because I'd been that like nerdy dental school student who was like in the forums, in the chat, in the message boards, like asking questions, posting occasional cases, showing that I was interested. And I went to a few events, so networked and went to these events where I knew these people were at, where they were either lecturing or they were talking or showcasing their skills, whatever. So I'd go to these sponsored events, specialized in, around the specialty of cosmetic dentistry. And I asked these people if I could come and shadow them. So I would ask if I could come and shadow them for a day and see what they did, like how they worked, like I wanted to see it. I wanted to feel it. I wanted to see exactly what the fuck they did on a day-to-day basis. Because partly I was like, well shit, if I'm going to be doing this for 40 years, I want to see what my life's going to look like. And this was pretty crazy cheat code to do it. So in my crappy little surgery that I had, where I was working my first job, I had this whiteboard. And on this whiteboard, I wrote down the names of all of the dentists that I wanted to shadow during that training year. And I don't know why at the time I didn't understand what I was doing. At the time it was just like this feels natural to me. This was like, just go and learn from these people, like go and see what they do. And I guess I kind of like the game was like, if I can potentially get hired, maybe these people know people that can hire people quicker than if I had to play the long game and do 5+ years of public sector healthcare. So in that first year, I worked my ass off. I kept on posting loads of cases to try and just show that I was capable. And again, this is before social media, so like, no one was posting this stuff on YouTube or Instagram, like anything like that. So it's a very underground thing. And I realized that, like, I started getting noticed by some people, like some of the other operators within the UK who had renowned private surgeries. I was networking with them. I met them at these events. And I wrote down all these names, and I went one by one, and I went and shadowed all of them. And I met them, and I watched them work, and I got to know them and became their friends, and some of the most respected practices in the UK. And by the end of that first year, I was then offered my first it wasn't a full-time, it was part-time gig working as a private dentist. And it was a Saturday job. And this goes to show, like, fucking there ain't no shortcut to hustling. And so for what I did was I ended up taking that Saturday job on, which was a 3-hour drive from where I lived. So I was living in Cardiff in Wales at the time, and on a Saturday I would then drive 3 hours, 6-hour round trip to go and work for a long morning, basically like 9 until like 3 in the afternoon, and then I'd be done. I did that for 6 months, 4 to 6 months, whilst I was still working in the public healthcare sector. And eventually there was a job opening at the practice, and I got offered a full-time gig. And all of a sudden I went from being first year trainee, where you have to be basically just doing absolutely anything and everything and doing crap. It was shit. Seeing loads of patients, handicapped with the type of level of work that you could provide. And then all of a sudden I'm now in a position where I was only working 4 days a week, and I was choosing exactly the work that I wanted to do. I literally said, like, if there was stuff I didn't want to do, I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to refer it to one of the other dentists who prefers doing it. So all of a sudden, within 18 months of graduating as a dentist, I got my dream job. My dream job that for most people would take 10 years to get to. I managed to do that within 18 months. And yeah, the truth is, absolutely no one else was doing that within the UK. I kind of like you obviously get to know most people, especially who you graduate with. So I knew that it was extremely rare, but I did it because, one, I showcased my skills online, I networked, and what we're going to talk about, which is the 4 steps to becoming who you want to be and getting to your dream life fast, is I identified who I wanted to become. And those are the things that I kind of rediscovered in this past year, that I have managed to go and crush it this year and change my life from feeling like directionless, being absolutely dead broke, and not having any clarity and direction, purpose, meaning, to now within pretty good body fat limits, feeling pretty athletic. I'm about to go to Vietnam for 2 weeks to cycle along the Mekong River with my family, which I'm very excited about. So let's dive into it. So how to actually set goals. So this is a 4-step process that, like, I've retrospectively looked back and realized that this is what I did all those years ago, and this is what I did this past year. So step number 1 is you need to identify who you want to become. Now, go back to when I did this with dentistry. I literally just identified all the best dentists in the world, and I was like, I'm going to be like these people. And that's step number 1. Who do you want to be like? Like, who is out there that you look up to and you are inspired by, you're motivated by, and you have admiration for, and you look at their life and you think that is a sick life that seemingly is filled with purpose, mission, and impact.
And the good news is that compared to when I was doing this in 2012 or 2011, we didn't have Instagram. We didn't it was a completely different thing. You can now go and look and see who are the people that you want to be like, and you can see their life inside out. So I call this finding your digital parents, because this is really what this is. Like, we all have our parents, and I was very, very fortunate to have incredible parents. And the truth is that I went down the dentistry route because of my parents. My parents were both in the medical field. My dad was a doctor, my mum was a radiographer, and I only had one understanding of how to have success in life, and that was go become a doctor. And fortunately, my dad did warn me. He was like, by the way, being a doctor's shit. I have some dentist mates who have a much better lifestyle and they earn more money. And I was like, okay, sick, let's do that. So I did. So you need to find your digital parents. And I've done this for the past few years. I would say the first digital parent that I ever had was Tim Ferriss, after reading his book, The 4-Hour Workweek, in 2010. So nearly 13 years ago was when I first read that book, and have been, a huge Tim Ferriss fan since then. And I look back on this past year and I think about what are the resources that I've really used to level myself up, and to essentially surround myself with parents that are feeding me information that is going to take me towards, where I want to get to. So you have to just go and look, and you will have these people. These are people that you already subscribe to or follow. So for me, the obvious ones are people like Alex Hormozy. So Hormozy is one of the reasons why I called CreatorLaunch, because I felt like there was an opportunity to build the gym launch for the creator economy, the gym launch for one-person businesses. So for people who are want to monetize their skills online and have a coaching, consulting, or freelance business, what is there to be able to help people on that journey? And I felt there was a big opportunity to become a growth partner for those types of businesses, because they are businesses, even though they're one-person businesses. So Alex Hormozy was obviously a huge influence over the past few years to me in my journey. I look at other people. There's guys like Ed Milet, guys like Iman Gadzi. These are all people who I soak information from, and it doesn't matter how old or young they are. I look at them and I use them as a way to anchor my future by saying, okay, that's where these guys are. And it then goes on to step number 2, which is determining what skills those people have that you currently don't. And this was a journey that I started a few years ago, when I recognized that coming out of dentistry, I had transferable skills. I could communicate with people, I could problem solve, I could focus, but I didn't have any hard skills. I didn't have any what would be considered high value skills. And so I went on a journey over the past 5-6 years of learning these high value skills. The first high value skill that I learned was essentially appointment setting for enterprise level software companies. So I would be having to send cold emails, cold calling, cold messaging. We'd send letters to try and get appointments booked with C-suite, C-level executives in the biggest brands in the world. So I learned that skill. I then had to learn sales closing at another job that I had, which was when I was selling tech toys, and I had to sell tens of thousands worth of deals at a time, and close those. I had to learn those skills. I then got interested in video creation. I realized video was something that had always compelled. There was something always compelling about creating with video, and just putting something and then making it permanent in this format. And I taught myself how to edit videos. So I taught myself how to use Final Cut Pro, how to light scenes, how, basic, just the basic stuff around creating videos. And I've got a long way to go there, but it was one of the skills that I ended up stacking. Copywriting, content creation, sales, appointment setting, videography, those are the foundational skills that I highlighted, that the people that I wanted to get to, my digital parents, those are skills that a lot of them had that I didn't have. And that is step number 2. Step number 3 is determine what habits and behaviors that those people have that you currently don't. Now, there are tons of habits and behaviors that end up stacking to make those people who they are. But I believe there is a cheat code and a shortcut to those habits that I've discovered that I think means that you only have to work on 2 things. One is a habit and one is an activity. And this is something that became kind of clear to me. It was like, well, shit, like, what are we trying to do? We're trying to make sure that every day is as focused and productive as possible. So, like, how can we do that? Well, the biggest one, the absolute longest lever in that mechanism that ends up creating a productive, highly productive and focused day is sleep. Like, it is just getting 7 to 8 hours of solid, consistent, uninterrupted, deep sleep, and making sure that you are fully recovered for the next day and to go hard again, and waking up with clarity on exactly what you're doing. And what that does, it has a cascading effect. So getting a good night's sleep has a cascading effect on the second most important thing that will impact productivity, focus, and clarity, which is decision making and quality of decision making. So if you have a great night's sleep, then your decision making the next day is going to be like an order of magnitude better than if you had a shit night's sleep or you had 8 pints, whatever that may look like. So for 2024, I am going to gamify sleeping by one habit only, which I believe will have an incredible compounding and cascading effect on the rest of my life. And that is reading for 1 hour before bed every single night. Now, I know there will be many nights where that won't be the case, because I'll be socializing, I'll be having fun, and I'll be rebalancing all the hard work that I'm doing. But if we're thinking about the kind of like the 80-20 principle, like, you know, we want to make sure that like 80% of the time we're doing the good shit. And so if I could end the year and I've read for 1 hour like 80% of the days, then that is a huge victory. And there's a reason why specifically an hour, because if you like reading for an hour, you can probably crank through, depending on the type of book, but you can crank through a significant proportion in an hour. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set myself a goal of completing a certain number of books by the end of the year. So I'm going to gamify what I think is the absolute, I call it the unicorn habit of reading 1 hour before bed. So it does two things. By having that rule where I am going to turn my fucking phone off and put it away, and for this final hour before bed, I am going to soak new information into my brain and my mind. Like that you have to know that is not what most people these days are doing. Like, it is a fucking cheat code to get ahead if you are able to do something that most people are not doing. Most people are laying there in bed and they are doom scrolling on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube, and I fucking done it too. Like, I'm not here preaching saying that, you know, this is something that, you know, do this. No, this is a problem that I've tried to overcome. And this year I have refocused my energy on reading, and I think I'm planning on doubling down next year. So I'm going to set myself some lofty goals of how many books I'm going to read. I'm going to set a reading list, and I'm going to go to work. And at least 80% of the time when I am chilling out in the evenings, I'm going to wind down by keeping the F off my phone. And that means I'll wake up the next day, I will be clear-minded, I will be rested, I'll be smarter, be more intelligent, and yeah, I'll be ready to absolutely crank through the day. And there's a lot of books that I haven't read that I believe I need to. So yeah, that is step number 3. Now, step number 4 is determining what habits and behaviors you need to drop to become that person that you want to be. So essentially this is getting rid of the bullshit. This is dropping the bullshit from your life that is holding you back. And I mentioned some of these things. So drinking excessive amounts of alcohol, like I was doing at the beginning of this year. Being addicted to nicotine. Watching too much Netflix, TV, films. Like just soaking yourself up with bullshit. Like doom scrolling. Like that relationship with your phone. Like that is going to be the biggest aim for me, is to, I've noticed that my relationship with my phone, based on having to spend more time posting content, I've developed some bad habits with my relationship to social media, just by fact of like being on it more often. And so I think that's easily solved. I think just creating rules around when you're actually going to be allowed to open up apps, how you can open them up, whether it's on your phone or desktop, and having scheduled times where you are not allowed to go on them. So thinking about what bad habits you need to completely get rid of to swap in the good habits. So for example, for me to swap in 1 hour of reading before bed, I have to get rid of 1 hour of doom scrolling before bed. So that is what I'm going to do. And this relates to anything. Like anything that you want to be, you have to remove something bad from your lifestyle. And this is also something that I'm going to go into in another topic, which is this idea of really having a clear idea of how long it takes you to do stuff. Because I've made this mistake as well. At the beginning of the year, I was like, okay, I'm going to make a list of 30 habits that I'm going to track every day. And 2 days later, I hadn't tracked any of them, because it was I spent most of my time being like, oh wait, did I do that? Did I track my calories? Did I? And it's like, no. Like there are 3 things that you need to do to be a peak human. Like one is sleep, one is exercise, and one is eat well. Like there's 3 things. And if I sleep well, then I make better decisions about exercising, and I make better decisions about eating properly. That's why I'm like, the unicorn habit of reading 1 hour before bed is what I believe is gonna, well, we'll see what happens. So that's the 4 steps the 4 steps on how to unfuck your life, as I have done this year. So step number 1, identify who you want to be like. Who is going to be your digital parent for the year? And subscribe to their stuff, soak all their stuff up, and become a student of them. Step number 2, determine what skills those people have that you currently don't, and then you need to figure out a way to learn those skills, whether that's courses, mentors, programs, free content. You need to learn those skills, and you are only going to be able to learn those skills if you adopt new habits and remove bad habits. So step 3, determine what are the habits and behaviors that those people have that you need to have yourself. And then step number 4 is highlighting the shit habits that you currently have so that you can bin them and put in the new habits. And that is how I unfucked my life in 2023, and how I intend to continue on this path in 2024. Now, finally, if you are someone that is interested in monetizing your skills online, go check out my Instagram page. I post daily content there, like tips and tricks and hacks on the specifics of growing and building your one-person business. And if you are interested in joining our program, we have a 12-month mentorship program. Most programs are 3 months. I think that's bullshit. 12 months is like, it takes a long time to build something great, and I am there to build stuff with great people. If you're interested, there is a button down below where you can go and find out more information about the mentorship. We have quite high standards for letting people in. I have a guarantee that basically you don't pay if you don't get results within 12 months. I make sure that the people that come in are people who are capable of getting that done within 12 months. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, go check out the link below. There's a little video, free training video showing exactly how we do it. And please hit the like button. If you are here right now, smash me with the like button, hit the thumbs up, and make sure to subscribe. This is just the start. Okay, see you next time.